All right, so if you remember what we had last time, we were just sort of working on collisions. You can press A. What I'd like to do now is with the locomotion stick, I'd like to be able to walk around with the left thumb. So let's go ahead and select our VR pawn from our scene and hit Edit Motion Control here. Now, there's a couple things we want to do. If we want to treat our VR pawn like an actual character, we should change its class. So I'm going to go to class settings here and change it from pawn to character. Now, what you'll notice is as I change that off to the right hand side, we have a bunch of new features that are added. And I'm going to go ahead and compile and save this. It right off the bat gives us a capsule collider with physics on it so that it can weight our character down to the floor. This is important because as we move around with our left thumbstick, we want our character to be able to walk up and down steps, ramps, jump, all that good stuff. So with that said, let's go into our viewport and let's edit this capsule. Now, what I have here is this. You'll notice that the capsule's half height is 88. If you select the VR origin here, what you want to do is set the origin to -88. And that you would do that in the z-axis here. The reason for that is if I'm in a seated position now, this is going to represent my floor position, right? The very bottom of our scene. This is going to represent my seated position. As I stand up, this will be the top of my capsule collider. And that's all this is here. And what's nice is it already has built-in collision movement and interactions like that. All right, let's go to our event graph really quick. And off to the right here, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some of that movement controls, okay? So let's jump out briefly just so we can refresh ourselves. So if we go to Edit Project Settings, and off on the left-hand side here, we scroll down to Input. Remember, under the Axis Mapping section here, we have our motion control thumbstick left, Y, or Y, X. Now our Y is our forward movement. Remember, it's inverted in Unreal versus Maya. So if I push forward on my thumbstick, on the Y-axis, I want my character to move forward, right? And if I push left and right on my thumbstick, that's the X-axis, I want my character to move left and right. And if I go off on an angle, I want my character to walk on an angle. So it's important to kind of shrink these down if you forget, or I just usually copy them and I use them for searching. So let's actually start with the X here, and I'm going to decrease this, go back into my motion control blueprint here, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to type input axis. And actually, if you paste those, I don't know if I had much luck. Yeah, there we go. I have an axis event here, and then I have an axis value. This is a function. I want the event itself, right? So here's my left thumbstick X. I'm going to go ahead and hit C on that to comment it. And these are my movement controls. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to rotate on that axis. So I'm going to do something called a yaw. Now that's it. What's important here is if I click on my motion control pawn here, this will not work if I don't enable it here. So do you see how mine by default was on use controller rotation yaw was checked on? You want to make sure yours is also checked on. So I'm going to hit compile and save. Now mine was checked on because I've done this tutorial before and it remembered my last settings, right? So, or I practiced this before the tutorial. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this. And I'm going to jump back into Unreal for a second just to make sure that there's no underlying error. No, it looks pretty good. And you can see that the positioning of this was set correctly. Now, if yours is up here or down below, if you move it above and you just press the end key on the keyboard, you'll notice it snaps it to the floor here. All right, let's jump back into Blueprints. All right, so what I'd like to do here is drag this out, and I'm just going to do a sequence of events. Now, I want, as I'm moving my left thumbstick, I'd like the camera to rotate, right? That's the player's position to rotate. That's the yaw. And then I'd like the, again, I'd like to move my actual physical character left and right using that left thumbstick on the x-axis. So let's start with the yaw. So I'm going to stretch that out. I'm just going to type in YAW, and add controller yaw input is what I want. And the value that's going to be passed in is this axis value. What I'm going to do later is I'm going to do it so that I can actually have a speed input attached to this value. It's just a variable that we can adjust because it's going to be really quick. The movement's going to be very quickly. So the other thing I want to do is for the sequence here, is I'm going to add the input of the, see how we have the add controller your output? We want to add our movement of our player. So I'm actually going to right click here really quick and do add or actor right, get actor right vector. Okay. And this right actor vector is going to affect my movement. Let's see, add movement input. So I'm just going to link this value here. I'm going to link the axis value into the scale value here, and then I'm going to link this into this here. Okay, so I'm going to compile and save that. Now there's my thumbstick left X, which is essentially set up. It looks like I want this one here, and then I want this to be the first member of the sequence. There we go. All right, let's do the left input axis. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to paste the same thing, but I'm going to change this. Well, I guess I don't have to. I can just do motion controller thumb left Y. So it's same left thumb controller, but I'm doing the Y here, and I'm just going to copy and paste this movement input here, and I'm going to just connect this, and I'm going to really, I guess I could just do this here, and I want this value here. So, oh, you know what? That's wrong. Yeah, sorry. This is the right actor input. I want to get my forward. Let's get our forward actor. Get forward vector. Get actor. Because we want to get the forward vector of our actor. So get actor. It's not going to make this easy on me. There we go. Forward vector. So let's go ahead and attach this. Looks pretty good. I'm going to compile, save it. I'm going to pause the video and jump back in Unreal. Now I had some issue when I jumped back in getting it to play, and that's because I did not have my headset on beforehand, so VR preview was grayed out again for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and now you can see as I move this up and down, and I move my left thumbstick, I can actually walk in the scene. See that? And I'm still moving. I can, let's see if I can get my hand in front here. Walk up. I can grab these guys, unless this, gotta move a little bit closer. You know what? I'm going to have to adjust the scale of that collision object. Let me see if I can reach forward with my right hand here. There we go. You can see I got the box, but my collision might be too big.